Hi friends, my name is Krishna Akamalla. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We have completed our bank reconciliation chapter and getting into inventories chapter today. In today's video, I'm going to explain in detail about the meaning of inventory. That's all. I'm not going to talk anything beyond this. I will talk about only meaning of the inventory, and later in next video onwards, we talk about valuation of inventories. What are the different methods we need to follow, and we also need to work on some illustrations. We follow all the formalities, but in today's video is very important. You need to understand the meaning of inventory very well, because valuation of inventory is will play a very vital role in our profit and loss account and balance sheet. It plays a very vital role in preparing profit and loss account and balance sheet. Hence, without understanding the meaning of inventories, it is very difficult for us to do the right valuation. So that is the reason why I'm focusing, or I'm shooting one video only for meaning of the inventories. I hope you understand the importance of it. Okay, without wasting much time, let us get into the presentation. Okay guys, before we get into the inventories, I wanted to explain the definition of goods. You need to understand the meaning of goods. This I already explained in my fundamentals of accounting video, but let me once again explain about the same topic. Any article purchased by the business for the purpose of resale is known as goods. Any article purchased by the business for the purpose of resale are known as goods. Suppose if I purchase a pen with an intention to resell this pen, then this pen is my goods, right? If I start buying buildings for the purpose of resale, those buildings are my goods. If I start buying land for the purpose of resale, those lands are my goods. So any article for that matter purchased by the business for the purpose of resale is known as good. Fine. How do we get the goods? There are two ways of getting these. What are they? You can get the goods by manufacturing them, right? You can manufacture them, or you can trade them. By trading, you can get the goods. What do you mean by trading? You can go to manufacturer, buy the goods and sell the goods. Or you can go to wholesaler, buy the goods and sell the goods. That is called trade. Trade is nothing but buying goods and selling goods. You are not manufacturing here. You are going to the manufacturer, or you are going to the wholesaler, buying the goods from them and selling them to the retailers. So here your activity is buying goods and selling goods. So that is called trading activity. What is that manufacturing activity? How manufacturing activity happens? Let us say this is input area, this is processing, and this is output. In manufacturing industry, how it happens? We input the raw material to the machinery. This is processing. And this is the place where the processing happens. Once the process is completed, our output will be received. So here we send raw materials, RM, raw material. Here process happens. Here you get finished goods. This is how manufacturing happens. Now, how this process happens? By means of machinery, right? This process happens by means of machinery. So we input our raw material to the machinery. The process happens in the machinery. And then once the process is completed, you will get the output. That output is called finished goods. So here, see three different components in manufacturing. One is raw material. Raw material is one component required. And the process happens. By end of the month, the whole, whatever raw material you inputted, probably wouldn't have processed everything. There could be some 10% or 20% of the raw material by end of the month still within the machinery yet to be completed by the time your month end close has come. Then whatever 10% or 20% left without completing the total process is called work in progress, WIP. What do we call it? We call it as work in progress. That means 10 to 20% of the raw material left in the machinery without completing the total process is called work in progress. I just took 10 to 20%. Doesn't mean that every time 10 to 20%. Please don't question me on that. By end of the month, by month end close, if some part of raw material left in the machinery without completing the total process is called work in progress. So what are the components you can see here? You can see raw materials. You can see work in progress. Work in progress is nothing but the portion of the raw material yet to be completed. Total finishing has to be completed. It's called the work in progress. And by end of the month or by end of the day, you get finished goods. Whatever product you are supposed to get, you get the finished product. So how many components are there? Raw material is one component. Work in progress is another component. Finished product is also another component. So you could see three components here. Apart from that, you also need packing material. You also need packing material to pack this finished product. Am I right? So packing material is also required. Why am I talking about raw materials? Why am I talking about work in progress? Why am I talking about finished goods and packing material here? These are all inventories. These are all inventories. Why am I talking them as inventory? Because raw material is required for processing your finished goods, which is supposed to be sold. WIP is also required to complete your finished products, which is going to be sold. Finished product is the one which is going to be sold. So they are all part of your goods. They are all part of your inventory. So what do you mean by inventory for manufacturing industries? For manufacturing industries, raw material will be one inventory. Work in progress will be an inventory. Finished product will be an inventory. Packing material will be an inventory. Right? Apart from that, you also get maintenance supplies is also part of your inventory. What do you mean by maintenance supplies? There will be some safety equipment required to run the machinery. That is also part of inventory. There could be some, big machineries wherein you require some valves, compressors, pumps. These are all required, right? They're all regular maintenance equipment. Regular maintenance equipment. That is also part of inventory. There could be some gloves, consumables required. Consumables, cleaning material, laboratory material, office supplies. All these things are all part of your consumables. And you also need some lubricants, gaskets, repair tools. These are also required to maintain your machinery, right? So they are also part of consumables. But what is not required as a part of your inventory is Machinery is not part of an inventory because it is an asset. Machinery you should not consider as a part of inventory because machinery is an asset. Any equipment, standby equipment for that machinery, standby equipment is also not an inventory because that is also part of your asset. So now I hope you understand. Assets are not part of this inventory here. They are all fixed assets. They are not part of inventories. Your inventory is a current asset. So inventory, what do you mean by inventory? Raw material is your inventory. Work in progress is your inventory. Finished product is your inventory. Packing material is your inventory. And maintenance supplies is also inventory. What do you mean by maintenance supplies? Maintenance supplies I already explained. Safety equipment, industrial equipment, consumables, lubricants, gaskets, repair tools, all these things are also part of your inventory. Whereas the machinery, standby equipment, any assets, fixed assets are not part of your inventory. They are the assets are required for producing your finished products, your inventory. Assets are required to produce your inventory. So assets are not part of your inventories. When we go to the trading, what are the activities? When we purchase goods, it can be a finished product. We can buy even work in progress and we can sell that work in progress to some other company as input. We can buy raw materials and sell these raw materials to somebody. Whatever material you buy and sell it to somebody without manufacturing, because you go to either manufacturer, you go to either wholesaler, buy the material and sell it to your retailers. They are all inventories. So when I talk about goods, goods can be manufactured, goods can be traded. If you are manufacturing goods, what are all the part of goods? Raw material, work in progress, finished products, packing materials, whatever we explained. Are you clear so far? Now, let us go to the definition. What definition says? Inventory can be defined as an asset. I said inventory, I spoke about goods. Why in the definition it is calling it as an asset? Inventory is also an asset. But what type of asset? Inventory is a current asset. Why it is current asset? Inventory is a current asset for time being, only by end of the month. Next day morning, what will happen? This product will be ready for sale in the ordinary course of business. So whatever material you manufacture in your ordinary course of business, the material is going to be sold. So that material will be considered as an inventory, will be considered as a current asset by end of the month. That is the reason why you are calling it as an asset here in the definition. Inventory can be defined as an asset. Why inventory can be defined as an asset? It is goods, no? It is purchased for resale purpose, no? If it is purchased for resale purpose, why it is an asset? It is goods. What is asset definition says? Asset definition says any article purchased by the business, not for resale, but for business use is called an asset. But here I am using it as an asset. Inventory, I am calling it as an asset in definition. Very sensitive point. Inventory, we are calling it as an asset because by end of the month, the unconsumed or unsold stock will be considered as an inventory. That will be considered as a current asset by end of the month. Hence, in the definition, it is mentioned as inventory can be defined as an asset. Here, the asset means current asset. Held for sale in the ordinary course of business. In ordinary course, if it is an asset, why it has to be sold in an ordinary course of business? If it is sold in ordinary course of business, then it is a goods. It is not an asset. Why am I calling it as an asset? This asset is nothing but a current asset. This asset is nothing but a current asset. This material is a current asset only for the month end close. Next day morning, what will happen? That will be transferred to P&L account as opening balance. That is the reason why inventory can be defined as an asset, because by end of the month, this will be treated as a current asset. Hence, I am calling it as an asset. Please remember this point. That is the reason in the definition it very clearly said for the sale in the ordinary course of business. Because that is the end of the month, it is a current asset. But next day morning, that material is going to be sold, or that material is going to be consumed. And in the process of production for such a sale, and this, if it is a raw material purchased, that will be used for the process of producing the finished product, right? That raw material is also an inventory. But the same raw material by end of the month, which is not used for the production, will be treated as a current asset. That is what it says. In the process of production for such a sale, whatever raw material or work in progress you talk, these are all current assets by end of the month as a part of, current asset. For consumption in the production of goods or services for sale, including maintenance supplies and consumables other than machinery spares, servicing equipment, and standby equipment. Machinery spare parts you are not supposed to consider as an inventory. Why? Machinery spare parts is an asset. What type of asset? Fixed asset. Servicing equipment, it is a fixed asset. Standby equipment is a fixed asset. It is not a current asset. That is the reason machinery spares, servicing equipment, and standby equipment are not supposed to be considered as a part of inventory. But other maintenance supplies, like whatever examples I gave you, gloves, safety equipment, and other cases I explained previously, right? Those cases, you can still consider them as inventory. Are you clear? This is a very important point. Once you know the definition of inventory, then you will understand how to value the inventories. So valuation of inventories I'm going to cover in the next video. I hope you understood the concept of I can say meaning of inventory in this video. And if you have any doubts, please comment on this video. I will definitely come back to you with your questions. Right? Thank you so much.